folks, I'm on the Susquehanna River with my buddy Marty.
Hello!
And this is one of your first times getting out in this, isn't it?
Not one of, it's the first time getting out in it. Sadly, work has gotten in the way, and we got the new Cadillac a few months ago, got her rigged out, and she's been yelling at me from the garage, "Hey, take me fishing!"
Right.
And it's been way too long, but we got her out, we're ready for a shakedown cruise.
So this is Trey did the Trey with Innovative Sportsman did the rigging.
Trey, the magic man, worked his magic. We got the Torpedo 1103 on there. Got some foot steering modifications on it. And
Humminbird.
Yeah, Humminbird.
Nice.
Helix 9, little new for me.
Very cool.
Getting ready to put the new Yak Attack Black Pack Pro 16x16 on the back.
So you went with the big one.
I went with the big one, mostly because I got the Pro Angler 14, plenty of room for it. And big tank hole back there. It's not full today because we're on the river, but you know I can fill it up if need be, or just do it like I did today.
Nice. So I've gone.
Awesome.
I actually have 3 of the smallest ones, and I have one that's specifically for river smallmouth.
Right.
Another one that's largemouth, another one that's other. And I've gone through this process of paring down the concept of less is more.
Yeah.
And
I haven't evolved to that point yet.
I evolve and devolve. But part of that process is that I figure out what I almost always can catch fish on. And that's part of what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna film a separate video, look for that. It'll be my top 5 lures, presentations for river smallmouth.
You'll want to watch that one.
I know there's a lot of people that are coming up here for some tournaments that'll want to watch it, and take notes. But part of that is, you carry the things that you know is going to work, but you got to mix in some level of what I refer to as auditions. Lures that you're like, I bet that would work. I don't know it'll work. And I'm going to audition one that's a soft plastic on a scrounger head made by Pulse Fish Lures. I'm using you as a guinea pig. Come over here.
I'm a good guinea pig.
So one of my top 10, and I'll give you a preview, but go watch that video, is the live target crayfish crankbait. And you can't buy them anymore. They're discontinued. So I'm always auditioning.
Your Vanna White.
Okay, so these are 6th Sense.
Crush.
Yeah. So I want you to take those with you.
All right.
I want them on back at the end of the day, but my feelings won't be at all hurt if you lose a few of them throwing them into white water. Do it. But take all 4 of those. Which of those you think is most likely?
We might lose one or 2 in my tackle box. I think I'm going to.
I actually paid full price for these.
I wouldn't do that. Come on.
What do you think?
I'm thinking more of a crayfish color to start. One of those 2. I think I'm going with that with a little bit of green on it.
Tie that one on, and we're going to do updates on how you're doing with that crankbait.
Guinea pig eye. I got it. I can do that.
All right, let's get down there. Start catching some fish.
Let's do it.
All right, this is an ideal location for me to drop anchor. I'm moving up to this rock. I don't want to bump it, but I'm gonna let that anchor down. This really get me. So to combat the wind, once I stabilize, I'm gonna pull the parking pole out. We have to go for this one right here between the legs. Yep. Lock that in. But now I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 current seams to work. I'm starting with that one. So boat positioning is pretty critical, and if you're able to get into spots that give you multiple targets, it may be worth anchoring up, getting the pole down, you know, doing things to get stopped. Came out a little bit. It's not always easy with wind pushing upstream and current pushing downstream. It'll test your your get stopped mechanisms. All right, I got my audition bait going here. This is the Scrounger Head by Pulse Fish Lures. It's a Pulse Fish jig, and I've put the this is a Z-Man Streaks. It's like a gold root beer soft plastic jerk bait, and different than the Scented Jerk Shads that I usually use on those bullets or fast bullets. It's different because it doesn't have any of the salt. It's not a sinking bait. It's a little bit more durable, and as much as I'm moving this, I kind of want that. I don't want this thing, I don't want it sinking. It's got the jig head for that. So I'm just straining water at this point, seeing who's home, who's willing to hit this new to me presentation on this river, on the Susquehanna. I know they like gold bait fish, so it should make sense. To me, it's sort of like a really subtle, that was a tap, really subtle version of swim bait. I won't even compare it to a jackhammer, because a jackhammer is a, you know, New Orleans street band. Like, jackhammer is the carnival coming to town. Everything knows that it's coming. This is more subtle. It's a lot more subtle. In between is the diesel minnow. So I just wedged on this rock to work these couple of eddies right around this series of ledges, and I've switched. I wasn't getting bit on that the gold pulse fish with the gold streaks, and I'm thinking because the sky is so overcast, I don't know, maybe a different color is gonna do the trick. I do think that increasing the size is one way to increase how aggressive your presentation is, and I went with the much larger Scented Jerk Shad in white. So I also went with a little bit lighter head, so it's staying up in the water column a little bit. It's at the top. Just giving this bait, you know, in this presentation, which is new to me on this river. I've had it work on some southern rivers with spotted bass. I've had it work with largemouth in shallow vegetation in places. It really looks like a great presentation for shallow water striped bass. But I don't know, just putting it through the paces, different colors, different weights, different speeds of retrieve, and putting it in different locations. But the locations I got dialed in pretty good. I know roughly where these fish are going to be, and I think one of my favorite places to put it is bushwater. There's water it's kind of deeper and slower up here, and it's speeding up before it drops down over these ledges here. And when you can cast a minnow presentation down into water that is accelerating, speeding up before a drop off, it's a great feeding station for these river smallmouth. Got the first one on the pulse fish lure, pulse fish jig. I just bumped that. I had a bigger one smack it, and like right in that same spot. But it's certainly a big profile, and that tail whips around, and it just looks beautiful in that water, coming across those current seams, that wiggling back and forth. Just looks like something pretty big swimming past. That's a good one. That was on a little bit of a pause of the scrounger, and that big and it wasn't an intentional pause, it was just that's a big fish too. Big bait, big fish. Get in there. Oh yeah, let's get you to shore. Take a look. he was right in this area. So something goofy happened with the with my reel, and I paused accidentally, and that's when this fish jammed me. I did get a number of fish on the pulse fish jig, which is a scrounger, and that larger soft plastic, the Scented Jerk Shad, that I missed, and I figured maybe I have too flimsy a rod. We'll see. I mean, I switched to a stouter rod, a medium heavy spinning rod. Let's get to shore and take a look at this beauty, and talk a little bit more about this presentation. So auditioning a bait is about going all in on trying it, you know, really just saying, hey, come what may, I'm all in on this bait today, and I'm gonna stick with it throughout the day to see if is it a viable, look at that fish, is this something that I get comfortable with and have confidence in. Ideally you should do it on a couple different days, you know, in a couple different conditions, but this real aggressive, that's an 18-incher, 18 1/4, close the mouth, yeah, he's going to 18. So a thick 18-incher on, and I switched from the white to this, I think it's the smoky shad, and I had a counter shaded jig head to match it. I think this one's, I think it's 1/4 ounce is this size, but on a heavier, you know, heavier rod, a medium heavy, I think that was part of where I missed the first couple fish, and now at least I got that one good one. I'm gonna keep going with the pulse fish jig and the larger Scented Jerk Shad and see what else I can get with it. But this real healthy 18-incher liked it, so it's good. All right, status update. Marty Moon, what's happening with that crankbait?
One 16-inch fish right at the boat, and then it got off.
Okay.
But it's a start.
All right. We're going to move up this way because right now we're in this mountain gap. And with all that wind slamming into us, it's
pushing us all over the place.
It's a challenge. It's a little bit of a challenge. All right. Marty hooked up. You got a good one?
Finally got a good fish.
Nice, man.
Doing that cranking thing. And man, she inhaled that sucker. It was almost, oh, look at it, just popped right out there too, so that's good.
Good thing you had that leverage landing net.
That's right, yeah. Got it in a leverage landing net, go over here near the rock so I can finally corral her, and all this wind pushing me all over. She slammed it though, all the way down.
All right, so that's the pulse fish jig. It's a scrounger. They're actually manufactured down in South Carolina. The way that I rig them, because there is no real, well, there's a tiny little keeper there, but you know, I don't necessarily need a lot of plastic on there. I definitely don't want it to bunch up, but I'll check to see, all right, is that gonna come up to, you know, to just kiss it right there, right? And is it straight? And you have this in the Scented Jerk Shads. You get this little line on top that tells you, but we got to get some crazy glue on there. You know, rigging it straight is I think pretty important because they will roll if you don't totally get it straight. The bigger the bait that you put on there, the less likely the rolling is to occur. So just kind of smoosh that on there. It's good to go. This head will snag frequently, but not badly. It'll like, I've had a lot of hang-ups that like I just stop reeling because it lays on its side. It's almost like, you know, this little plastic thing that makes it go and gives it its action is something that keeps the hook from really digging in. That being said, I have been taking a little sharpening stone out and hitting it every once in a while because it's a little bit, you know, it's a rocky river, and it's good to keep that guy sharp. But that's how I'm rigging them. Marty's been fighting this one for a while. It must be a decent fish.
Yeah! Woo! As soon as that thing came up, man, I was like, oh, that's a good one.
He jumped for you?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Several times. And I told him to stop. First couple were cool. And I was like, stop, I need to get you in.
Was that the brown or the green crank?
That was the brown one. A rock ate the green one a while ago, so I haven't had that for a while.
That happens.
But they like the brown one too. They're doing good. Look at the gut on that thing.
Chunky.
They eat well up here in the Susky.
Oh yeah.
There's crayfish everywhere. Nice, pretty brown. Yeah. So using the old 6 cents crankbait again, Jeff was kind enough to let me borrow. And man, they've been hammered. The last couple fish really, I mean, they're knocking it. They're not coming up and nibbling. They're slamming it, trying to yank it right out of my hand. And that one did the same thing. And as soon as she felt the hooks up in the air, she went like 3 or 4 times. So it was a good fight. It's good fish, good fight. I'm gonna let her go.
So when you're advancing upstream, the most reliable place to get bit is the tail end of the pool, or it could be the head. But for the most part in the summer, and I've already passed it, it's back there. The middle parts of these pools, you know, if they have high points and the deep water is coming up shallow, which we have up here, I can read the surface and tell there's some feature that comes up shallow, and there could be a fish on the upstream side of that right there. But that 18-incher I just got, and some of the other ones have been in less than a foot of water in the last little part of the pool, and it's the push water. It can be a taper up, and taper ups, you know, is just a transition from deep to shallow water. It could be out in front of grass bed, or it can be, you know, rocky in nature, gravel taper up. There's all sorts of taper ups, but generally this middle part of the pool, and you know, there's going to be some fish out here. I actually see some deep boulder shade over here, which is a nice thing to target. But for the most part, you're actively feeding fish, or ones that are just chilling but are willing to eat, are going to be at the last little bit of each pool, right before it picks up and takes off again. You seem pretty big. Pretty big. You jumped once. I didn't really get a sense of how big you are. You got some power. You got some power. How much power you got? Yep, you're a good one. Good fish. Good, strong fish. Get in there. Alright, switch back to the white one from the smoky shad. And you know, it's not what I would call a hot and heavy bite, but I'm getting them here and there. That's a beautiful Susquehanna Smallmouth. You know, it's I think that this presentation is 16 and a half. this presentation lends itself more to those summertime days where it's super clear and low. And I think today, well, I already know because I filmed the my top 5, and you know, more aggressive power fishing presentations are doing well. The jackhammer took like 6 casts. The whopper plopper took, I don't know, it didn't take long. It was a couple minutes, you know, and the crankbait was almost immediately. So this is a, if there can be such thing as a subtle power fishing presentation, this is it. It's moving through quick. There's not a lot of noise to it. There's not a big thumping boot tail. There's not a blade going ta 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 ta. But it's big. It's a nice meal. It's a good size, now or never, eat it or don't meal. Now, breaking it down in simple terms of head of the pool and tail of the pool, water that's accelerating or decelerating. I mentioned before, there are features that are in the middle of the pool, and this is one of them. I have some shallow rocks that are coming up and some deep water out ahead and some current, and there's some deep water that's coming up. So you'll have taper ups. You'll have spots where, you know, they're gonna hang out and look out over deep water with shallow water that it may be too skinny for them to be in at their back. You know, don't ever think that it's too shallow, but they generally like to be facing out towards deeper water if they are shallow. So shallow water with immediate upstream access to deeper water. Bringing me to you, Marty. So we fished the tail end of the pool, and that's where I usually get them. But we're getting into them up at the head of it. So heads or tails? Heads or tails, Marty? Call it. Tail. No, it's heads. We're at the head of the pool. He ate that. Right. Another one of those 16 3/4. A lot of fish this size in the river. They're so much fun.
Well, just as usual, when I start hammering fish, I'd caught 4 or 5 right within just a real quick time. I heard a noise, I lost sight of Jeff, and my phone was going off. We got a tornado warning, tornado watch for the area where we're fishing right now. And just to the south of us, a severe thunderstorm warning. So first thing I did was catch up with Jeff, because safety in numbers, and I was scared.
Show me what you got.
I'm just looking at the radar right now, and obviously the little blue dot is us, and you can see all the stuff.
Let me come in close. There it is.
Yeah, you can see all this stuff just to the south of us. That's a lot of nastiness.
Is it coming, working its way north or south?
It's almost, looks like it's going almost west to east, straight across. And most of it is to the south of us now, but there is some more right behind it that's to the north and to the west of us.
The wind was crazy. The wind died,
absolutely
and now
crazy.
I'm listening to the fishing line singing to us.
Yeah, it was windy and hot. Then it got dead still calm and really hot and muggy. Then it started cooling off, and now it's cool. The wind's changed direction a little bit, actually. Starting to pick up again. That's never a good sign.
No.
Got wind changing direction, temperatures changing. So and then of course
zoom out of here. I'm gonna take a couple casts at a couple rocks on the way out. There. Wow. Sounds like I want to be out here the rest of the night.
Yeah.
Let's
head that way.
Yeah. Let's start making our way home. But you're happy with that crank, huh?
Yeah, it did really well, right? Especially toward the end here.
Okay. Keep straining water with it.
At least a dozen. I don't know, I lost count, but I got at least a dozen fish. 4 or 5 nice ones. So
thanks for being my guinea pig.
Yeah, I told you I'm a good guinea pig.